What's up YouTube? In this video I'm going to review the Litra light. Now this is not a brand new light, it's been around for I believe almost 2 years now, but it's new to me and it's literally revolutionized the way that I shoot in low light situations. So I wanted to review it in my own personal style because a lot of the reviews that I've seen thus far just give you the specs, which anybody can get from their website Litra.com, and I wanted to kind of put it through some real life scenarios, some tests, my own tests, and give you my honest feedback about whether or not a light like this is worth purchasing. So with that, let's hop right in and I'll tell you everything that I know, and then maybe later on I'll even follow up and make another video. First things first, I'm going to be a hypocrite and give you a few specs because I do think some specs are important. These little lights have four settings actually. They have a low, medium, high, and a strobe. The low setting outputs about 100 lumens, medium does 450 lumens, high is 800 lumens, and the strobe supposedly outputs 2200 lumens. Now I have no way of testing light, so I have to take Litra at their word. But this little light is very powerful and puts out a lot of light even on the low setting, so I'm going to just go ahead and roll with it. Another cool feature of this light is that it is waterproof to 10 meters or 30 feet, so you could feasibly go scuba diving with this thing and it'll still serve you in that setting. Perhaps the most interesting part of this light is the fact that it boasts a beam that's very wide angle, so not like a projector beam, a more wide angle beam that doesn't flicker and doesn't have any hot spots. If I may just digress for a second, here's the competition, here's the Lume Cube, it's a little bit bigger. What I want to note is that on the Lume Cube you see kind of like a lens, a flashlight bulb that's round and projector style. This creates a hotspot in the middle of the light, which isn't ideal. This will work for like a GoPro shot, action photography, but it's not great for interviews or literally anything else. Personally, when I film things, when I film people, I want nice, even light. That's the preferred every single time. The Litra light, on the other hand, has this very unique pattern of LEDs, and they're kind of in a box. And so it just casts a really even beam that doesn't flicker, and it also produces very even light. Even without the diffuser, which I'll talk about in a second, it creates a nice enough light that you can conduct an interview no problem. This is debatable. I probably, in a desperate pinch, I would use this, but I have no beef using this always and forever. All right, so bye-bye Lume Cube. It's rated at 57K, which is daylight. Again, I have no way of testing that, but it seems to be a really nice light. Maybe a little on the cool side, but it's very easy to fix in post or by simply white balancing your camera. A few more things worth noting is that they have a magnetic base plate, which means that you can literally stick this light to anything metal. And they have this silicone diffusion, which I absolutely am in love with. With this silicone attachment on the light is even nicer than without. Additionally, there's a couple places where you could mount this light to tripods with a standard 1/4-20 screw mount. That's basically it. There's an on and off button here. So out the box, you get the Litra light. This is the torch. Then you also get the diffuser, which is made of silicone, and it just clamps right on, and then just as easily comes off. You also get a GoPro mount. This can screw on here, and then you can put your GoPro there. This thing I found actually works as kind of a makeshift rig. So you can literally put your GoPro on this thing, and then you can hold it, and now you have an action camera that's pretty darn terrible in low light situations with a light underneath, and it becomes awesome. You also get a DSLR hot shoe mount. So if you want to take your light and put it on a bigger camera, boom. You get a belt clip. I probably will never use this, but some people might. You also get a charger. This fits right in here. There's like a little flap, and then you can, boom. And last but not least, they have a couple little sticky pieces of metal. I assume this is so that you could stick it anywhere on a wall, on a surface, and then your Litra light will stick to it. So that's kind of nice. And the whole package retails at $79.95, something like that, $79, $80. So kind of that's what you get out of the package. I got the 2-pack because I think 2 are better than 1. Like they say in Hollywood, if you have one, you have none. So I like to be redundant, because when I'm on a shoot, if one battery dies, I like to have a second backup. Okay, enough with website specs. Let's hop straight to how I've used this light, the tests that I've put it through, etc. The first thing that I want to say is that these things are an absolute game changer. As on-camera lights go, they're absolutely incredible, and I feel like we are living in the future of on-camera lights. Now, over the last 14 plus years as a filmmaker, I've used many different lights. I've used big ones, I've used little ones, I've used cheap ones and expensive ones. I've used ones that have bulbs that you can't touch with your hand because the oil in it will literally disintegrate the bulb. And each time you lose one of those bulbs, it's expensive. It could actually be the price of one of these lights, if not more. I've used big bulky LED lights, and these little Litra lights pretty much outperform most of my lights. So 90% of the shooting that I do is kind of run and gun documentary style filming or vlogging, YouTube video stuff. Often I don't have time to set up a big, massive, complicated light. I just need to put something on my camera and go really fast. And these are the kings so far out of anything that I've tried. In terms of how simple they are to use, in terms of how little they are, in terms of battery life, and then most importantly in terms of how much light that they actually put out. At this point, I'm pretty much ready to get rid of all my other lights and just stick with these. I think the only exception to that would be like on commercial shoots when you need a big studio light. Other than that, for all my run and gun stuff, this is my new go-to light. It's that good. As time goes on and I play with these lights more and more, who knows, maybe I'll dump all of my studio lights as well. My understanding is that Litra is working constantly on new lights, bigger lights, better lights, and so it's very likely that we'll have something in the studio realm later on down the line. Okay, so let's talk about battery life. So these two lights, I put through some extensive testing. I tested their main three settings, low, medium, and high, at least 3 times. And so basically what I would do is I'd set them up, click the button to low, and then I'd time it with my iPhone. And I did that 3 times for every setting per light. So a total of 6 times. So I'd take this, charge it, click the on button to low, and I would test that 6 times. And consistently I found that they were going over 5 hours and 50 minutes on the low setting, which is huge. It's massive. And mind you, the low setting outputs quite a bit of light. 100 lumens, you know, if you're shooting at ISO 800 or 1600, that's a lot of light. You could film some salsa dancing, you could film some camping, maybe like a night scene somewhere, especially if you're into like spooky movies. That's a lot of light. On medium at 450 lumens, they don't get nearly as much time, an hour and 40 minutes, but still, that's a lot of time, you know? 450 lumens is something that you could definitely write home about. And on their highest setting, at 800 lumens, when they're super bright, they burn for about 50 minutes. So, you know, you have options. If you have a long shoot, keep these on low, and then you can go all night. So once again, to run through that quickly again, on low, 5 hours and 50 minutes, medium, 1 hour and 40 minutes plus, and on high, you get 50 minutes plus. I'd also like to note that on none of those settings do these lights get hot. So even on high, when you've been running this light over and over again, you can still touch it. Unlike some of the competitor brands, this light doesn't heat up. So I think that's a nice touch, because you don't want to take something that's burning hot, throw it in your camera bag, ruin some stuff, or maybe burn your hand. Just to give you an idea of how these lights perform in a dark setting, I convinced my girlfriend to read for me while we were camping in our Sprinter van, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so we're in the van, and it's dark out. We got one Litra light right over there. Right over there, Kylie's pointing at it. And you can see it's, you know, in terms of video quality, you can't really see much. So then I have a second Litra light on my camera, and when I click it onto low, that's drastically better. Medium looks like this. And then on high, it might as well be daylight in the van. The other features of this light that I absolutely dig is the magnetic background. So I travel a lot in my Sprinter van. The whole thing is basically a tin can that's made out of metal, and having magnets in the light enables me to literally stick the light anywhere. Whereas before it was kind of a pain to figure out how to mount a light. Now I just attach it magnetically and I'm good to go. Having multiple screw holes is also awesome, because that just gives you different mounting options. I already mentioned, and should mention again probably, that this mount that it comes with pairs perfectly with the GoPro, and you can make yourself a nice little rig without spending any extra money. You can also take this light and put it on a bigger camera. I shoot on Lumix cameras, so GH3s and 5s, and they just look really stellar and professional. The other thing I probably should have mentioned at the very beginning is it feels very heavy. It's like a quality light. Not heavy that you don't want to bring it with you, but heavy as in quality. The build quality is solid. If I were to drop this light from 10, 15 feet up, I don't think anything would happen to it. In the past, I've had problems with cheap lights. In fact, once I bought like a cowboy studio light that I took with me on a shoot to Siberia, and the light literally disintegrated in a cold environment. I don't know if it was the glue that just straight up melted or froze or whatever, but the light literally fell apart in my hands, which almost threw the entire shoot off. And so after that, I've been very weary of inexpensive, cheap lights. I've already mentioned this, but I want to mention it again. I absolutely love the light diffusion that comes with this light. Without the diffusion, this beam is awesome, but when you put this diffusion on, it just snaps right on. Man, you get such a buttery stream of light. It's like a, mwah, it's delicious. It's absolutely gorgeous. Da-da, da-da, in comes the Lume Cube. You know, there's no diffusion. I think you can buy like a aftermarket diffuser for this thing, last I checked. And it's clunky and just not as good. One thing that's really annoying to me is this screw thing. So this is where you charge it. This is a huge design flaw in my opinion. So yes, that's waterproof and that's awesome. But if you lose this little piece, which is literally easy to do, it just, you know, if it rolls away, then it's gone forever. Now your light is no longer waterproof. And on the Litra light, you have this little built-in flap right there, and it just stays with the light. I don't want to knock Lume Cube too hard because this is still a revolution. Both these little lights are great little lights in that they offer a powerful beam in a small package that's rechargeable. A few years ago, either this would have cost a lot of money or it wasn't possible, period. So, you know, sorry if I'm knocking this product. But in my opinion, if you're going to spend the money, especially since it's pretty much the same amount, you might as well buy the better product, which is the Litra light. So just to kind of bring it all back around and summarize everything, I love this little light. The bottom line is that it's 79 bucks and it's a fantastic light. I highly recommend it, and it's better than anything else that I've tried. So basically getting this versus the competition is a no-brainer. I'm going to link to the Litra website in the description of this video if you're interested. Otherwise, you could just Google it. The last thing that I almost forgot to mention is that if you plan to fly these lights on your drone, you can do that, but you have to get the drone version. And the drone version doesn't have any magnets in the back. Magnets can scramble a drone's kind of GPS or, you know, some internal computer that tells it where it is in space. So if you get a Litra light for your drone, make sure that it's the non-magnetic version, which they do make. Hope you enjoyed this review. For more videos that are just like this, but completely different, subscribe to my channel, BoutenkoFIlms.